Few empires reshaped the map of the world like the Mongol Empire in the 13th century. It stretched from the Pacific shores all the way to Eastern Europe, from Siberian forests down to Persian highlands, the largest contiguous land empire humanity has ever built. We usually hear it reduced to a single image. Unstoppable hordes of savage horsemen. The reality was far more sophisticated. Before Genghis Khan rose to power, the steppe societies already lived under constant strain, harsh climate, scarce resources, endless tribal rivalries, economically, socially, militarily. None of those pressures alone created the empire. It was their convergence that forced radical adaptation. Once survival turned into conquest, old limits dissolved. Violence became not just a tool, it became the system. Efforts to fix the old ways only accelerated the transformation. In the end, order re-emerged. But it was a completely different order, and that order did not vanish with the empire. Its patterns migrated forward into how vast powers project force, manage distance, and exploit mobility, even today. What you're looking at isn't ancient history. It's a blueprint, one that still influences how superpowers operate. You have to start with the people themselves. These weren't farmers who grabbed weapons when war came. From childhood, Mongol life revolved around constant motion and combat. Kids climbed onto horses almost before they could walk. Teenagers learned to shoot arrows accurately, at full gallop, riding, hunting, surviving. These weren't skills, they were everyday existence. Every warrior kept multiple horses, typically 3 to 5, often 4. They rotated mounts relentlessly, while conventional armies ground to a halt for rest or forage. Mongol cavalry stayed fluid. On good days, they covered 50 to 80 kilometers. In extreme pushes, over 100. Their diet matched that mobility. No heavy grain wagons, no bread ovens. They lived on fermented mare's milk, airog, dried meat, hard cheese, light, long-lasting. Always ready. In dire straits, and especially when water ran short, they could even draw blood from a horse's neck vein without killing the animal. A quick nutrient boost, then back on the move. What required thousands of carts, oxen, and porters for other empires. The Mongols' horses handled it all: transport, food reserve, weapon platform, one living package. Mobility wasn't just an advantage, it was their identity. Armies built around cities think in walls. Armies built on horseback think in horizons. But even that doesn't fully explain expeditions lasting months or years. The breakthrough insight: war fed war. Conquest didn't drain their strength, it replenished it. Every victory extended their reach and financed the next campaign. These were seasoned hunters. On the march, they took whatever was edible: game, small animals, captured herds trailing along, or seized en route. The real game changer, though, was the conquered landscape itself. At city gates, the Mongols offered a stark choice: submit and pay tribute, or face total destruction. Most chose submission. The army got supplies without a fight. Those who resisted were crushed hard, not out of mindless cruelty, but calculated terror. One razed city convinced dozens more to open their gates. Psychological supply lines proved far more efficient than physical ones. Layer on top meticulous scouting. Advance parties mapped water sources, pastures, stockpiles, routes. No expedition launched blind. Unknown terrain equaled unacceptable risk. They simply avoided it. Nothing happened by chance. Everything was calculated. Efficiency alone isn't enough. Discipline decides. Genghis Khan imposed a clean decimal structure. 10 men formed a unit. 10 units made 100, up to the scale of 10,000. This setup made every group semi-independent. They handled their own forage, horse care, loot distribution. No separate support troops. Everyone pulled their weight. The Yasa, the Great Law Code, enforced iron rules. Loot was shared fairly. Desertion punished the whole unit. Responsibility never sat on one person's shoulders alone. This system suppressed corruption, favoritism, and inequality, problems that crippled most armies. But no system is flawless. Prolonged sieges drained them, cut off from surrounding forage. Even Mongol forces struggled. Certain landscapes fought back. Thick forests, swamps, mountains, humid tropics. Look at the Empire's map. It wasn't random sprawl. They targeted steppes, plains, and trade corridors, places where horses could thrive. Expeditions were timed carefully. Spring grass growth supported herds. Winter frozen rivers made crossings easier. Autumn pullbacks protected livestock. Before deep cold arrived. Even the famous retreat from Europe followed ecological logic, not just politics. The Mongols weren't invincible gods of war. They were coldly pragmatic. The Mongol army didn't win because it ignored logistics. It won because it invented a radically different one. A system built on speed, adaptation, and ruthless use of terrain. Self-reliance over endless supply trains, discipline over bureaucracy. The empire didn't appear by accident. It grew from a precise understanding of strengths and unflinching acceptance of limits. Sometimes, true dominance isn't about having more. It's about fitting better.